So, hello everyone. It's an honor for me to be part of this summit. And yeah, because I'm a little bit older, I have to wear these glasses to be able to see you and to read some stuff. So my thanks to Rafe, of course, for organizing this and inviting me to be part of this. And I want to mention Mr. Tom Campbell from the United States, who put in a lot of time and energy to get me and Rafe into contact. So before I start my formal introduction and a personal introduction, I think on forehand you have to know two things about me. The first is that I'm Dutch, and the second is that I'm Dutch. That I'm Dutch means that my English is rather poor, maybe, compared to a native speaker. So I apologize for that. And the second fact that I'm Dutch means that Dutch have the reputation to be rather rude when it comes to speaking their mind. So the subject I'm addressing in this specific contribution might be sometimes a little bit rude. Not that that's my intention, but I think I hit some sensitive points for some. That's not my intention. Again, the only thing I want is to promote a bit of consciousness if we actually want to contribute to the problem which is addressed in this summit. So let me go to that. So sometimes I'm in the image, sometimes I'm not, and in this case I take myself a bit out of it. So the central theme of this summit is that we have to rethink our approach to movement in our culture. And the matter of fact is that a vast majority of our Western society indeed has a poor movement diet. And just look at some examples. This is rather average. And we prefer to pay other people to do the job for us. So the gardening, cleaning the house. And if possible, we also buy some machines to do the job for us. And so, yes, rethinking our approach to human movement is rather important, and we all know that. But yeah, doing it is rather a challenge. So what's my goal? Well, I try to attempt to answer the why question. Why? How can we explain the fact that something which should be natural for us, moving, is such a huge problem? And of course, we can blame convenience, but I think that's too easy. So I'd like to identify a kind of, let us call it an intervening mechanism. What's really going on? Because if we know that, we can tackle the problem and come up with some real solutions instead of the things we are doing now. Because for some reason, all of us, with all our input, time and energy, we don't seem to be able to come up with a real solution. And we only get in the people who are already willing to move and already do their movements. But there is a vast majority of people who are still sitting on their couch watching Netflix with a bag of chips in front of them. So, before I dive into this exploration, I think it's good that you know where you're dealing with. And just let us look at that a bit more. The thing is that when you teach whatever you want to teach, one of the first questions a student is asking, who the are you? And if you don't answer that question well, the effect of your teaching is already well, significantly less. So, well, it's a break fall in my words. So let me introduce myself a little bit more to you so you know who you're dealing with. So it all starts at, well, here I'm 1 year old, and as a child I was a kind of what you could say a nerdy guy. You know, I was able to read when I was 3 years old, and I had all kinds of different ideas about the world than my peers in the time, which made me a kind of outcast. I also was a bit, well, what you might call a clumsy kid. Yeah, I was not motorically very gifted, and so you can say. So the only thing I could do was play some instrument. I play the organ, I play the drums, and I play the accordion. But again, that wasn't really, I'd say, tough. So I was the focus of many bully. And at a certain age, when I was 4 or 5 years old, I thought I have to do this differently. So a friend of mine went once a week to a gym in a kind of white pajamas, and somehow it intrigued me. So I followed him. And there I saw something very interesting. You know, boys and girls throwing each other from left to right, and I only had one thing. I said, "Oh wow! If I learn that, I'm able to fight off all the bullies." And so I started training judo, and I was quite successful in that. So at once I wasn't a clumsy kid anymore. I won lots of medals, and the biggest victory was that one of my main bullies attacked me again, and I was able to throw him into the bushes. And that bushes had this big thorn, so it was quite a painful break fall he had to make. The only problem was that despite all my feeling of success, this boy who ended up in the bushes with thorns had a bigger brother who took over his job and started to beat me around the bushes. So you can say, so it was time for something else. And it was the time that this movie came up. And that movie changed my world. The only thing I wanted now was to learn karate. And I also wanted to have Mr. Miyagi, you know, this wise beacon of wisdom. It just seemed wonderful to me. So I started training karate, and I only had one goal in mind. I wanted to become the world champion, because who is going to fool around with a world champion in karate or martial arts in general? So I trained a lot. I received my black belt, and I had a lot of exposure as such. And in the end, I was able to become a world champion, not only in fighting, but also in forms. So after that, I was so caught by martial art that I think there isn't a martial art in the world that I didn't train. And I didn't train it just for one time in a kind of seminar. I really trained most of them, at least for several months. And when it didn't feel right, I quit and jumped to the next one. I also started when I was about 15 years old with teaching martial art. And that intrigued me because parents, and just imagine, I put myself in the picture and so you know, just imagine, I was 15 years old, I was teaching martial art, and I was intrigued by all the things I saw happening there. And you know, 15 years old, parents come up to you with questions about how to raise their children. You know, they ask a 50-year-old, and I was intrigued by that question because I saw indeed that whatever happened on the mat, it did something with the children. It did something with their behavior, but somehow it also did something with their mindset. Yeah, so the girl who was too aggressive became less aggressive. The boy who wasn't aggressive enough and was bullied all the time became more conscious and had more confidence. So I was completely intrigued. So I thought, well, I have to do something with this. And so I decided to go to the university. And just to tell you a little bit about that, I come from what we call a low social economic background. No money, no education. When I look to my parents and my grandparents and my old grandparents, great grandparents, you call it in English. Yeah, so when I got my high school diploma, I was already the highest educated member of the whole family. And I was on the point to go in to the military and become an instructor for the Marines, the Royal Marines here in the Netherlands, with a special unit. But again, on the mat, there happened something, and I wanted to know about that. First of all, I wanted to become a doctor, but after 2 years studying medicine, I thought this white coat doesn't give me the answers I need. So I started studying educational sciences and pedagogy. So I don't know if you call it like that in English, but next to that, I studied human movement sciences and neurosciences because I wanted to know all about how to educate people in general, especially children, but humans in general. I wanted to know all about human movement. And I wanted to know all there was about the human brain and how they relate to each other. To make it a bit more practical, I studied physical therapy and what they call in the Netherlands psychomotor therapy, and then a special branch of that, the integrative movement therapy, which is founded by Professor Dr. Hilarion Petzelt from Germany. And that's so the physical therapy and the movement therapy I studied just to get more practical tools to work with the scientific insights I had. And well, just to show you some things I do nowadays with, oh, that's too quick, I'm sorry. So here you see some pictures. Yeah, see me teaching movement sessions. I still teach martial arts. I work with the special forces. You see, I work with elite athletes. Sometimes I have to do presentations on TV, and it's just a great job. But all is movement, what I do. It all has to do with movement. Whether I teach special forces, of course, there is a combat stuff into that, but I also teach them how to move with less effort, because just imagine, yeah, if you see some of the guys wearing all their stuff, it's quite heavy. And if you teach them then all kind of self-defense techniques without wearing them that's quite easy. But for them, reality is that during their missions, they have to wear this kind of stuff. So you also have to teach them how to deal with that while moving. But it's quite an interesting challenge. So that's my introduction. So now let's go to the real stuff. The problem. So what keeps us actually from moving? That's quite an interesting question. The thing is that in our culture, we have the tendency to solve every problem with a pill. So if we have a pain, we take a painkiller. If we have a deficient diet, we cover the leaks with some vitamin pills or whatever we want. The problem is, just look at that. The problem is that a painkiller doesn't solve the real problem. And like food supplements don't solve a poor diet. So that's rather important to realize when we look at the problem because we adapted this same mindset in a way to movement. Yeah. And with that, I mean going to the gym twice a week doesn't outweigh the fact that we sit on our ass the rest of the week. We go to the office, we sit down behind a computer. We go at home, we sit down on the seat to eat. Then we drop on the couch to watch television. Then, well, the move, if you have a stairs which moves you to your sleeping quarters, maybe that's your movement. But this is not outweighing, and so going to the gym for twice a week, an hour, doesn't outweigh a poor movement diet. So we have to do it different. We have to harvest our movement daily. And again, you know, going to the gym only twice a week. I see a lot of people thinking that twice a week going, doing CrossFit, yoga, Pilates, whatever they do, twice a week gives them a kind of, I say it, freedom to sit the rest of the week on their backside. And for me, I don't think that's a good idea. The problem I want to address, what keeps people from moving? What's blocking them? What's the mechanism behind it? And that brings us to a very interesting person to me, Emily Conrad. Maybe you know her. Emily is the founder of Continuum Movement. I worked a lot in the Netherlands with Volker Moritz, which is a direct student of Emily, and I find it a remarkable, interesting method. Yeah, and the thing is that Emily Conrad wrote, I think, only one book, this one, Life on Land. And in this book, she mentions a very interesting thing in the context where I'm talking about, mainly this one. Just read it for a moment. No, fear and distress are movement's greatest enemies. And so we have a problem. We see that the vast majority of Western people in the Western culture just don't move. And then we have this quote of Emily Conrad: fear and distress are movement's greatest enemy. When I just considered that, then my assumption, or maybe even my hypothesis, if I would study this really, is this. This is my assumption. Could it be that the supposed lack of movement in our Western society is caused by fear and distress? Because if so, then we have an intervening mechanism which we can address if we want our Western society to rethink their approach to movement, if fear and stress are part of the problem. So let's dig into that a little bit more. Because this thing, this just brings us with the work of all, you know, Lazarus and Folkman, Hans Seidel, all the stress pioneers. They all say the same. And if I bring down it to the essence, they actually say that distress, fear is mainly caused by the fact that we as humans are confronted with a situation which we are not able to handle. Whether that's objectively true or we feel it in that way, it just surpasses our personal competence beliefs. We just think this is too much. We can't handle that. So just imagine if we use this image. So fear and distress, according to Folkman and Lazarus and people like Hans, is caused by the fact that we are confronted with a situation which exceeds our level of competence. Yeah. Now let's look. Just imagine that you are an overweight woman or an overweight man, and the doctor tells you to move a little bit more, and you're actually willing to do that because, yeah, you also feel the effect of your overweightness. I don't know if that's correct English. My son is looking at me, and well, he doesn't hit me, so I think I'm quite correct then. But just imagine you're this overweight woman, this overweight man, and the doctor tells you you have to move, and then you think, well, it's Corona time, so you can't go to the gym, for example. So you start to look around at the internet, and this is what you see. All kind of movement influencers telling you how to move, and they all look the same like that. Yeah. Just to tell you a story, some years ago, I was asked by a very famous gym owner in the Netherlands if I could do something to instruct his trainers. And I did. And in a break, he came up to me. I said, Jan, I have this question. Can I ask? I said, of course, I'm here to answer questions, so go ahead. And he said, well, I was on this party, and this woman came up to me and she said, oh, I really want to come to your gym because it's one of the best, but I need 3 months more. And then he said, but why do you need 3 months more? I said, yeah. She said, yeah, I have to lose a little bit more weight and to become a little bit more tuned. And when I'm there, I really become a member of your gym. And he said, yeah, but that's exactly the reason why you come to the gym. And he couldn't explain. So he asked me, do you understand? I said, yeah, I understand that, because all the trainer of your gym and some of the members of your gym promote themselves like you see now. So you see women with bodies. I said to him, to be honest, when I was a teenager, I had to buy Playboy to look at pictures like that. Nowadays, you can find them anywhere on Instagram, on Facebook. So just imagine you are this insecure, a little bit overweight woman, and when you try to find information, this is what you see. The same is true for men. Yeah, that's quite something. So what's happening then? Because I think we are part of the problem. And just imagine, this X means a situation you're confronted. It can be any kind of situation. But for this purpose, let's assume that you want to become more healthy, you want to become more fit, you want to become stronger, etc., etc. So you want to move. That's X, that's the challenge. So you know then that there are objective requirements. If you want to move, if you want to become more fit, more healthy, more toned, just imagine, there are requirements you have to live up to. That's one part of the balance. But on the other side of the balance, you have this subjective experience, which says, am I able to do that? How do I feel with it? And above that, you see here perception and expectations. Yeah. And that means that there is a gap between objective requirements and subjective experience. So if you perceive that there is an objective requirement, but you doubt whether you are able to live up to this objective requirement, then your expectation is rather low. Yeah. And the thing is that the bigger the gap between the objective requirements and your subjective experience, the bigger chance there is that fear and distress come into the play. And there is actually one thing we can do about it, and that's something with a self-perceived competence. But just imagine that you want to move and you see this, just imagine what's going on then with your perceived competence, because you look at it as, oh, I find it already difficult to get out of my chair, let alone that I'm able to stand for 1 minute on my hand. But that's an objective requirement that makes that your expectations when it comes to your subjective effectiveness, for example, is rather low. That makes the gap between your subjective experience and the objective requirements rather big. That ends up in low expectations, and that reduces your self-perceived competence really dramatically. So do you think then that someone sitting in a couch told by a doctor he or she has to move, looking at pictures like that, do you think then that they have a high or low perceived competence? I think it's low, because their expectations are, I have to say, I'm sorry, expectations are rather low, because they really don't think they are able to live up to this kind of requirements. So there is a huge gap, and that brings us to this guy, Eldridge Cleaver, who once said that you're either part of the solution or you're part of the problem. And when I look at the way a lot of movement influencers are presenting themselves, I'm tended to say that they create a huge gap between objective requirements and the subjective experience of students. And again, the greater the gap between the two of them, the greater the chance is that there is a high level of stress. And that brings us back to the thing Emily Conrad said: stress and fear are movement's greatest enemy. So if we scratch a lot of words, and it's true what I'm saying, then we also could say that movement influences are movement's greatest enemy, because the way they present themselves create this distress and fear. So the thing is, when I look at a lot of movement influence, I don't want to mention name, but we all know very famous movement influence. And when I look at videos they make, I see that they attract a lot of people who are already good movers themselves most of the time. Yeah, but that's not the group we are talking about. We want to be able to do something which makes the vast majority of our Western culture move. Yeah, so I think again that today's movement influence, including myself, are part of the problem, and most certainly not the solution. So we have to do something to close the gap. And that means, if we come back to this part again, we can do two things. Now, in the end, we want to stimulate the self-perceived competence of people. Yeah, they need to feel that they are able to do it. And for that, maybe we have to do something with the objective requirements. So not some egocentric, exhibitionistic projection of our own motoric competence as a kind of standard for our students. It's totally not interesting that we are able to stand on our hands for 45 minutes, do splits in the most idiotic positions. It's really fine that you're able to do it, and it's really good that you show advanced students where you can live up. But that's totally not interesting for this vast majority. But for this vast majority of people in the Western society, that's the standard we put, that they think they have to live up to. But again, standing on your hands for 1 minute is already quite a challenge if you're not able to stand on your own feet for 1 minute. You understand what I'm trying to say? So we have to do something with this way we promote movement, and we have to hold our own, maybe kinesthetic narcissism a little bit. I think that's why I made up the title also. Because if we don't, we're part of the problem, maybe even part of the cause of the problem, and most certainly not the solution. And I think it's rather easy because there is a tremendous amount of knowledge and skill in the movement culture. And then I don't mean a specific movement culture, but all of us together. But we need to be conscious of the fact that sometimes, maybe a lot of times, the way we promote ourselves doesn't address the problem the guy or the girl has sitting in a couch watching Netflix or Prime or whatever, eating chips and hamburger. Yeah? So that's my case. And just to make it also a little bit more practical, I have something to show you, and that's a video we recorded. And in this practical exploration, you see a young guy who is quite a talented martial artist, but has one big challenge. He doesn't like falling down. And that's a problem because in his specific martial art, Silat, in the competition, throwing is rather common. So falling down and the ability to roll especially is a challenge. So in him, it causes a lot of fear and distress, which is directly linked to the point I tried to make. So I would like you to show just a short clip of how I worked with this guy, and not because most martial art teachers he trained with just told them to do the rolls, and but again, the fact that they are able to do it doesn't mean that he is able to do it, and somehow they were not able to step down a little bit. And so he came to me, and just let us look for a moment. There it goes.
Okay, so a practical exploration. This is Andras. He's 16 years old. He's a talented martial artist. He only has one problem. He doesn't like to do the break falls, especially not the rolls. Somehow, for some reason, it just doesn't work. And we're going to explore his movements a little bit and try him to get into rolling. He also happens to be my son, so that makes it maybe a bit more easy or awkward, we don't know, but we just go ahead with it. So, again, his biggest challenge is rolling. So, Andres, what I would like you to do is to lay on your left side and try, yeah, with your head so everyone is able to see it a bit better. Just lay down on your side, yeah. And what I would like you to ask is, just from this position, try to move to your back. Yes. And back to the side. Just try it a couple of times. Yes, and back. And back. Okay. And back again. Okay. Lie on your, yeah, like that. Just, is there a part in your body you feel which moves first?
Yeah, the leg.
The leg. Okay, try to change it. So just choose another part of your body. All right. So now it's more the upper body, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Just continue then. Okay, so we have the upper body and we have the lower body. Now initiate your movement again with your legs if you want. Okay, just a couple of times, and when you're ready, you switch again to the upper body. Okay, just 2 more times. And go back to your side, please. Is there a difference between the initiation of your legs compared to the upper body? And if so, what's the difference?
The legs feel more natural.
Feel more natural.
Yeah.
All right. And is natural for you also better or?
Easier.
Easier. All right. All right. So when you initiate your movement from the legs, it's easier.
Yeah.
All right. Now stretch your left hand in front of you, like that, and place your right hand on top of it. Now move your right hand totally up. Look at your hand and try to place it on the other side, on your right side on the floor, and just keep looking at it. And back to the other, and just do it a couple of times. And back. So, how does this feel?
Yeah, good.
Yeah? It's not too difficult for you, huh?
No.
No. Okay, twice more, please. Okay, this is the last one. All right, and back. When you move your right hand from this position to the other side, what is happening with your legs?
It lifts a little bit.
All right. Can you follow that movement? So let your legs follow along, and maybe they pull you to the other side. So now turn your leg, yeah, like that. And continue this movement. So from left to right. Very good. This is what Alan Gastel, he's a famous Feldenkrais teacher, calls the smallest fall you can make. Do you feel a difference between moving to the left or right?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. Just two times each side more. All right. Last time. And when you're ready, just come up easily and sit on your knees, please, with your face towards me. All right. How does it feel?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah? All right. Now take this S position, please. And place your left hand, in this case, on the floor on your left side. Okay. And try to push your left ribs towards the mat. Yeah, like that. And away from the mat. Yeah, just take your time. Just a couple of times. And if that's easy for you, it feels easy, you can challenge yourself a bit more by placing your left hand a bit further away from you. But choose it yourself. And you're the one feeling your body, not me. And when you feel it becomes a bit awkward, the move, you can place the hand back. That's not issue. Yeah. Move them away from the mat and towards the mat. Okay. Could you place your hand a little bit further? Yeah, and try. All right. Sit up if you want. Yes. Now try to slide your hand further and further away from you and move your ribs towards the floor. That's difficult, I see. Yeah. And come up. You feel what's happening? That's so if you slide down like this, your ribs want to move away from the floor. That's this body pattern of anxiety. They say, well, shit, I don't want to go. So try to feel that and to override it by like that, moving your ribs towards the floor. Very good. Just a couple of times. Yeah, that's better. It's okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a nice one. Cool. Now come up and switch sides. And just a couple of times move the ribs to and from the mat. And if it feels okay, try to make the slide so you fall down and move to your back. But you decide the speed in which this process goes. Yeah, cool. Yeah, and up. Just do it 3 more times. One more time. Okay, now come up. What I would like you to do now is you slide down on one side, you come up, and you switch to the other side. Would you mind to try that? To your back. Just find your way. Yeah, and then slide to the other side. Cool. And come up. Yeah. Just try to make it playful, whatever you think that is. Okay, do it twice on each side, and then we see what's up next. And if you're ready, just sit down on your knees, please. Because now we have to go to the biggest challenge, and that's the forward roll. So, please sit on your hands and knees. Yeah, like that. And now try to touch with your left hand the right side of your shin. Yeah, try to touch it. Ah, you see what's happening? Just do it a couple of times. And
Just left?
just left. Yeah, just left. Just feel. You can try to come every time a little bit further, and maybe you need to change some things in the rest of your body, but just feel it, feel the movement. Do this twice more, and then you switch to the right side. Yeah. Then you switch. Is there a difference? Do you feel a difference between left and right?
Yeah, I get less far down there.
Left is more
Supple.
supple. Okay. All right. Try to feel what's blocking your suppleness. Maybe you can alter something in your movement, or you need to do something else. Okay, twice more. All right, then one more time. Okay, then we switch again to the other side. So move, and when you touch so with your left hand, you're going to touch your right shin, and on the moment you feel at ease, you just try to fall down on your sides somehow. Yeah, that's a big boom. Yeah, so you can measure your own success and quality of movement with less sound. So the less sound you're making. Yeah, cool. Try to, yeah, very good. Find a way to control the sound. And thereby your body. Yeah, very good. One more time, and then you try to do the same at the other side. Switch to the other side and try it there. Okay, there's the big bum again. Yeah, but that's good, it's no problem. Then you know where to move. Good, good. Yes. All right. Now, please sit on your knees. Move a little bit backward. And you can choose a side, whether you prefer the left or right shoulder, and try to move towards this forward roll in your own way, your own speed. All right. And for the viewer, he never did this before. So this is already something. Cool. And again, here's the same criterion of success. The less sound you make, the better it is for you. And try to find your... Yeah. What's making a lot of sound still? Yeah, your elbow. Yeah, so try to find out a way to get that out of this movement. Yeah, cool. Dizzy already?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. Okay. Try it on the other side. I think it's a bit different, but yeah.
I don't roll
No, but that's funny because before you said, oh, it feels more supple than, so this side feels more supple. The movement, however, is totally different. So try to find out what the problem is. Yeah, that's better already. What did you try now?
I try to like shift my knee.
All right. Okay, so maybe your body tells you to get more parts of your body involved. So maybe the legs also. That's right. Yeah. Maybe when you put a bit more pressure in your legs, forward pressure, try that. Like it's pushing you over the shoulders. Yeah? Yeah, that's better. Cool. And try the other side, show your right side, and try to apply the same principle. So a bit more action into your legs. Yeah! There's the elbow again. Okay. One more time and then it's enough. All right. Okay. So just sit down there. So check your body for a moment. How does it feel? It's okay? Yeah. Satisfied about the role? Yeah, of course you want.
It's better than before.
It's better than before. That's already something, no? You don't have to do the somersaults in, what is it, 20 minutes. Okay, we end this one and then we finish up.
So this was just a short practical application, and you know it's how I work with people who have fear of movement, and in this case a young fella who doesn't dare to make the shoulder roll like we know from judo, aikido and stuff like that. Just to close it down, it's not my intention to speak the truth or whatever. That's totally not my intention. I only think that if we want to transform, we first have to become conscious. Always consciousness comes before transformation. And again, you know, the reason why I don't put myself into the video, but one of my students, is that I think people out there belonging to this vast majority are able to identify themselves more with our students than with us. You know, and of course there is a group who wants to bask in reflected glory. I don't know if you know this philosophical phenomenon, but that means that people don't want to move. They only want to belong to your group because you're successful. And that might be good for the money, but if we want to change our way of thinking about movement in our Western society, we have to be conscious as movement influencers of all this kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I didn't show myself in the video, but I prefer then to show you how to see me work with that. Again, thank you for being part of this summit. I apologize for my English. I hope that I was able to bring forward my point. And again, it's not about the truth. And my nickname in the Netherlands is Socrates, because I never answer questions. I only come up with more questions, or I say things which make other people think about stuff. Other people become angry. I don't care, as long as we are able to solve a huge problem. And I think, again, that we need to be very critical about our own part in this whole problem. That was my contribution. Again, thanks to Rave and his crowd. And if you want to contact me directly, here is my telephone number, my email, my website. And otherwise, Rave is willing to offer you with more details about me. Yeah. So thank you again for watching, and hopefully see you somewhere, somehow soon. Bye bye.